In this jeep is a soldier of the North Korean military who is tired of Kim Jong-un's policy and is trying to cross the border by speeding the jeep. He knows very well that he will either be killed or at least injured, so what was the compulsion that he would take such a big step? We will tell you about this later, but why is North Korea considered the world's largest prison? And why is it impossible to escape from here alive? Leaving North Korea without permission is treason in Kim Jong-un's eyes, with a minimum sentence of life in prison and a maximum of death. Even within North Korea, moving from one province to another without permission is considered a crime. Almost every organization believes North Korea has the largest human raid record in the world. All men are required to serve at least 10 years in the North Korean military. There is no such thing as free speech here, and whatever media there is controlled by the state. It is the only country in the world where punishment is given to those whose relatives have committed a crime. In 2009, a 2-year-old child was also sentenced to life in prison just because a Bible book was received from his parents, because even following a religion is considered a crime in North Korea. It is very difficult for a foreigner to come here from the outside world, and even if a foreigner gets permission to come here, he is watched like a shadow throughout his trip. And it is taken only to those places where only what the government wants to see can be seen. Foreigners are often killed if they do anything that goes against local law in North Korea, as was the case with Otto Warmbier. It was the U.S. statesman who visited North Korea in 2015. He was arrested in 2016 when he was accused of removing a government propaganda poster from his hotel room. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison for this charge, but after a year he burned in a coma inside a North Korean prison camp and was sent back to the United States. A few days after his return to America, he succumbed to the injuries that were inflicted on his brain. To this day, no one knows what happened to them in North Korea. As a result of all this, it is believed that North Korea is a huge prison where people live as slaves even if they are free. This is the reason why North Koreans try their best to escape from here, but it is not easy to do so in any case. And the main reason for this is the geography of North Korea. On the west of North Korea is the Yellow Sea, while on the east is the Sea of Japan, where the North Korean Navy keeps such tight security that it is not possible for any illegal boat to come close. To its south is South Korea, which is one of North Korea's biggest enemies. That is why the security in the sea near it is rigorous. Those fleeing North Korea have no better option than South Korea. It is not because South Korea is a very developed and free country, but because South Korea considers all North Koreans as its own citizens. That is, if someone manages to cross this line to avoid the North Korean army, this step can change his life. But only if he manages to arrive alive, because North Korea has stationed so much army on its border that even a bird will think twice before crossing the border. This video is from 2017, when a North Korean soldier was speeding his jeep to South Korea. When the border guards found out, they chased him and opened fire on him. He left his jeep and ran towards the border, but North Korean soldiers fired several shots at him. Fortunately, he entered South Korea, but after taking several bullets on his body. Later in the evening, South Korean soldiers came and dragged him into their custody. Many such attacks have also been carried out by North Korean civilians, most of whom were killed on the spot. But even those who managed to reach South Korea did not survive long due to bullet wounds. Running directly from North Korea to South Korea is like inviting your own death, because North Korea has deployed nearly 750,000 soldiers on this border. Apart from this, border wires, fences, and landmines have also been installed near the border. Another historical way to enter South Korea is to run through the northern border here. North Korea's largest border in the north is China, and a small part is also shared by Russia. This method is comparably easy, but not less difficult, because North Korea has no threat of attack by China and Russia. Their military deployment on these borders is also low. But this entire 1,300-kilometer border is full of dangerous mountains and jungles. In addition, North Korea's border with China runs mostly along the Tumen and Yalu rivers. That is, even if a defector reaches the China border, the challenge of crossing the river will be to face it. For this, defectors and smugglers would wait out the winter when both rivers froze over and cross the border simply by walking over it. Similarly, this method worked even in hot summer when the river level is very low. The danger for defectors in reaching China or Russia was not yet averted. Because North Korea had a military alliance with China and Russia, which meant that if they caught a North Korean defector on their soil, they would hand him over directly to North Korea. And then it is not difficult to guess what North Korea used to do with them. Therefore, their work did not end when they reached China and Russia. They had to run away from there and go to another safe country. There are Myanmar and Laos in the south of China, but these two countries also caught North Korean defectors from their territory and sent them back to North Korea. So now the options are Thailand, Vietnam, and Mongolia, which have direct borders with China. It was considered a safe country for defectors, because, as you know, South Korea considers all North Koreans as its own citizens. That's why these three countries sent North Korean defectors back to South Korea, not north. So the plan for the defectors was to first enter China or Russia, and then go to Thailand, Vietnam, or Mongolia, and then voluntarily surrender to the authorities there. And from there, they were put on a plane and sent to South Korea, where they could start their new life. Since 1990, a total of 34,000 North Koreans have managed to escape and reach South Korea. Actually, during this period, North Korea received the support of the Soviet Union, but after the collusion of the Soviet Union in 1991, this support of North Korea ended and the United States also started imposing a lot of sanctions on it. At this point, the conditions in North Korea became so bad that the people here also started craving food and drink. According to estimates, 3.5 million people died during this period due to lack of basic necessities. Then many people decided to run away from here only after 1991. With each passing year, the number of defectors from North Korea increased. Even after the drought ended, the number of defectors continued to increase, and in 2009, record defectors were noticed, which reached 3,000. The number of defectors remained high in 2010 and 2011, but then something happened at the start of 2012, due to which the number of defectors suddenly dropped by 50%. The man who ruled North Korea since 1994 has died. And now it was his son, Kim Jong-un's turn to take up the mace. As soon as he came to power, Kim Jong-un first cracked down on smuggling and defectors. Signal jammers were installed along the entire northern borders, and intelligence monitoring was also greatly enhanced. A fence was installed on the border, and military patrolling was also increased. Apart from this, Kim Jong-un also dealt with Russia and China to keep them more strict on their side. As a result, China also installed a surveillance system on the entire border. Due to these changes, it became very difficult for North Korean defectors to enter China. The Chinese brokers who used to do this work for $2,000 in 2017 started taking $15,000 from each defector in 2017. Most North Koreans, whose annual income is less than $2,000, found it impossible to raise that much money. This is the reason why the number of defectors decreased with each passing year since 2012 when Kim Jong-un came to power. And in 2019, only 1,000 defectors managed to escape. But then something happened in 2019 that made it nearly impossible to escape from North Korea. When the first case of COVID-19 was reported in China, North Korea became the first country in the world to completely close all its borders 2 months after it was reported. Because they didn't want a single case of COVID-19 to ever reach North Korea. In and out of any medium was completely banned in North Korea. It was also necessary for North Korea to do this because 42% of the population here still does not have access to proper food. That is, their body does not have the strength to bear the COVID-19 virus. Also in August 2020, the North Korean military gave a shoot-to-kill order to the Northern Border Patrol. That is, they were given full authority that if they saw anyone coming or going to the China border, they should shoot him at the same time. This is the reason why the number of defectors has been almost negligible for the past 3 years, and North Korea has become like a huge prison. Google, Facebook, and YouTube are far away. Here, the internet is used only in government offices, and only the websites created by the North Korean government are opened. They have phones, but those phones are locally assembled in which softwares are installed that monitors people's phone activity. North Korea is the only country in the world where the outside world is not aware of anything that happens. Here, executions are not carried out by hanging, but by firing squads who shoot people in front of everyone. In North Korea, anyone who tries to talk to a relative in South Korea on the phone is also executed. The whole world is watching this spectacle, but no one can do anything, because the Soviet Union transferred nuclear technology to North Korea. This is the reason why even a superpower like America cannot do anything other than imposing sanctions on North Korea.